Hey, Shemai, Sitachi, Kroisoi, Chris, Doey, what is cracking, ladies, boys, girls, gents, anybody who is anyone. Today we are talking about book number 26 in the Wizards line of Fighting Fantasy books, and this bad boy is called Bloodbones. So, a little bit of interesting information is that this book was originally going to be the 60th installment in the Puffin line. But, for whatever reason, they didn't publish it, and it quickly became a lost piece of media, if you will. And you couldn't actually get the book until it was published back in the early 2000s by Wizard. So that is pretty interesting, pretty neat. And as a result of there only really being a Wizards version, we can only really talk about the Wizards cover. So let's dive right in. Now, the Wizards cover, in my opinion, it does look very cool. It's very atmospheric, it's very spooky. You've got like an undead zombie pirate on the front, and it sort of hits me as being very reminiscent to the Pirates of the Caribbean, namely Captain Barbossa, who I probably butchered that name. It's just really cool. I really enjoy the cover. It's really cool, like I said, like 5 billion times. Atmospheric, spooky, it's quite ominous. At the end of the day, the Wizards cover is pretty awesome, and that's the thing with a lot of the later Wizards books. You know, I'm looking at Spellbreaker, Howl of the Werewolf, even, dare I say, Curse of the Mummy. The covers tend to be pretty awesome. It's like about this time where they picked up momentum, they sort of figured out what they were doing. But yeah, the Wizards cover, in my opinion, is pretty badass. But with the only cover out of the way, you know, you pick up this bad boy, you turn it around, what does it say? It says, the dreaded pirate lord Cinnabar, scourge of the 12 seas, plagued the seafarers of the old world in a bloody reign of terror until a brave adventurer put an end to his evil. But now he is back from the dead, seeking revenge with the dark powers of voodoo at his command. You have your own score to settle. Cinnabar murdered your family when you were a child. Only you can end the horrific slaughter by destroying the pirate captain and his crew of cutthroats. Come hell or high water, Bloodbones must be stopped. And that in itself is pretty badass. In the summary, it's a perfect summary of the adventure. You are literally there to put an end to Cinnabar. You want to settle the score, you want to kill him, you want to put him out of his misery, to avenge your family and the dozens of people he has murdered in the past, which is exactly what you do throughout the adventure. And the adventure itself, it's well, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. And generally speaking, I give a lot of these Fighting Fantasy books 4 stars. And I'm going to tell you why I give it 3 out of 5 stars. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars purely because of the amount of times you have to change code words, passwords and names, just general words, into numbered references. You need to translate them into an alphabetical numerical score, so like A would be 1, add more to get. It's really, really annoying. And that's something that it kept popping up, and it kept putting an immediate halt to my adventure. It was really, really annoying. I couldn't really look around it. In the end, I had a guide up, and I'd flick back to the guide to just as like a little cheat sheet for all these references, because you'll know the password. The passwords are very easy to come across. You will come across them all naturally in the adventure. But then translating it into a number is actually really tedious, quite annoying, quite boring. And the same thing goes, you get a sword towards the end of the game and you need to translate the sword's name into a number for a reference. But then if you remember the name, but you can't remember to spell it properly, you're shafted there, really, you know. Game over, get wrecked, scrub. And that was really my biggest gripe with this book, is that you need to do a lot of bookkeeping. You need to keep a lot of notes and then translate those words into it was all very annoying. It was very much what they did in Creature of Havoc, where you're constantly having to find out different references. You have to subtract and add different numbers from different references to find out the hidden clues. And all in all, it's just difficulty done in the wrong way, in my opinion. I'd rather just go out and have to look and, you know, look under every rock for all the items I need to actually win the adventure. It's just annoying, it's tedious. And I remember when I was younger reading this book, I'd constantly give up when this ghost asks for your password, because, you know, it's like, I haven't got time, I can't be bothered. So yeah, you know, that was a bit of a filter in my opinion. But let's actually talk about the story. So the story itself is a story of vengeance. You are on a mission to slay this guy. You don't care. You just want to put him out of his misery. You want to get revenge. So you start off in the Port of Crabs, where it's just a port. It's like a pirate port, you know. There's a lot of shady taverns. There's a lot of shady individuals. You start off thrust into a fight against like 2 pirates and a half orc, half ogre. It's a big brutish looking fella. You know, it really sets the tone for the adventure. You are in a shady slum of a place, and it's just a very typical pirate adventure. You know, you go into this shady pirate town, you can't trust anybody, everyone's kind of dangerous, there's like pet monkeys. It's fantastic, it's wonderfully atmospheric, and then, you know, you progress through the adventure, and it's very typical. To me, it just screamed Pirates of the Caribbean, which is weird because this book obviously was written before Pirates of the Caribbean became a thing, unless they changed the story after it was published. I don't know, to be honest. I don't actually know when the films came out. You know, I'm saying all this, I haven't checked, I haven't done any fact checking, because you know what, I don't have to. Lol. So basically, yeah, this book, the story is fantastic. The story, the locations, the themes, the atmospheres, the enemies you encounter, all of them are amazing. And that's the most annoying thing, it's just put to an end by this annoying, like, translating words into references. But do you encounter any notable characters? And to be honest, I think his name's Crivens, and he's got like a peg leg and he's got a pet monkey. He was always one of my favourite pirates because the thing is, I read this book roundabouts when it actually got released by Wizards. This was one of the books I had when I was a lot younger, and he was always one of my favourite pirates. I was always like, oh, this is a goofy looking guy. It's a fantastic adventure, fantastic enemies. You have native, I don't know how to call them, they live on a tropical island, and you have the natives, and they wear those stereotypical big masks that cover most of their faces. I don't know if it's going to be culturally insensitive these days, but they are cool. But they're zombies as well, so you got this native wearing a massive mask. His body's obviously corrupted, and it gives you an immediate hint that there's something wrong with the island, and it's just all fantastic. The story is written really well. The atmosphere is really well, the setting, the locations really well, and a lot of the encounters do very well to set the scene. It's a very well put together book, it's a very well put together adventure. So we've got Port of Crabs, this I want to say generic pirate adventure. It's your bog standard pirate setting. It's a creepy little port where everyone's out to get you. It's very dangerous. You go to this tropical island with the natives, the tribals, which, that's the only way I can describe it. I don't know if it's going to be okay to say these days, but you have these tribals wearing these big masks they have bodies that are just grossly corrupted. It's all very atmospheric, it's very cool, it sets the scene very well. You go on a ship and you fight a Leviathan. The Leviathan is this huge monstrous creature that tries swallowing your ship hull, and it's all very well put together. Like I keep saying, this book is honestly fantastic. But then you've got a double-edged sword. With the adventure being amazing, you have all these annoying passwords that I keep bringing up because they kept taking me out of the story, kept taking me out of the adventure, and I kept putting it all on hold. And having to do this in maybe an adventure where you play as a spy trying to stop a war, that would have made perfect sense. It would have been acceptable, it would have been normal. But when you're playing as a guy just trying to hunt down a pirate, it's quite annoying. It's in your face, and it's constant, it's sort of gatekeeping. And that's the thing, these adventures, you know, if you're playing with dice and you're playing it very traditionally, you're playing out the fights, you're winning, you're losing, then it's going to bring on a different level of difficulty. But when you're having to use your own, I suppose, head, you're having to do math, it's annoying. It pulls you out to the adventure. You're sat there trying to work this out, and it's like, when I'm reading these books, like, I don't really want to have to constantly put the book down to work things out myself. But that aside, you know, the adventure, it is fantastic. The settings, fantastic. Atmosphere, fantastic. Encounters, amazing. Characters, superb. Everything about the adventure is good, apart from having to translate words into numbered references. And that really is the book's biggest downfall. But I suppose it's about time to actually summarize this video, and at the end of the day I did enjoy the book, although I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, bear with me. Everything about the book is fantastic except constantly having to stop, put the book down, figure out this math, and then get back to it. And although it doesn't happen enough for to absolutely ruin the story, it happens enough for it to be something I didn't enjoy. It happens enough to impact my overall enjoyment of the book. Now, the book itself is actually pretty fun. I would recommend reading through it at least once if you can get your hands on a copy from eBay or a second-hand retailer. It is a fun little adventure. It's just the math kind of dampened my experience. So I gave the book a solid 3 out of 5 stars, and I think that is fair. It's a decent read, it's just the math was quite annoying. So next week we have book number 27, and that's going to be Cursing the Mummy. It looks pretty good, to be honest with you. So yeah, hopefully I'm going to see you there. So take care, have a lovely life, have a lovely day, have a lovely week, and take care. Goodbye.